Oh man, this video is frustrating to make. Okay, this new Android 13 is really close to being good. If there were just a couple things changed with his passive and his transformation, and believe me, we're gonna talk about those, but if those had been changed, I would absolutely recommend summoning on this banner. A lot of the units on this banner are pretty decent, but when the two new ones, yes, the two new units are bad, I cannot recommend summoning on this. I think it's a skip, but let's talk all about it. So, my name is WafflesTheAsianYenbear, and welcome to Should You Summon, the series where we take a look at new banners, analyze their value, and I tell you whether or not I think you should summon on them. Now we mainly look at these banners from a free-to-play standpoint, as free-to-play players need to be more careful with how they use their stones, but of course banner value applies to dolphins and whales too. But with all that being said, let's get started. So, let's just jump into the biggest part of the analysis: what do these new units do? I checked this time and we did not talk about it when he originally came out, so let's just go in depth here. So we'll start with Android 13. His leader skill is a dual category leader skill for androids, and his new category, Target Goku. Target Goku is actually a pretty decent category. There are a good handful of great rotations you can make with these units. Combine that with the android leader skill and you can really make yourself a decent team. His base form super attack lowers enemy defense by 50% and has a 30% chance to stun. Not too bad, but stun chance is a nice bonus. And his passive works as an android support, buffing android category allies 30% attack and defense and 2 ki. Some of you might already see the problem starting to form, but I promise we'll get into that. He also always hits his attack, so no dodging, and I think that's a pretty neat mechanic. I like it. He transforms if you have 2 android allies on the team on the 5th turn. So a bit more towards the end of most battles, and if you have androids on your team, you can't stop the transformation. It's not an active skill. Now, when he transforms, his super will now lower defense by 80% and keep the stun chance. He buffs himself 13% attack and defense for each target Goku ally you have on your team. He still negates enemy dodge and also disables guard now, and he will always crit if you're facing a Goku enemy, with some exceptions. So, here's the problem with him and why I am frustrated. Because of his passive, you want to run him on an android team. But if you run him on an android team, he's going to transform. Like we just said, you can't stop it. He'll lose the passive while also not getting the target Goku buff because your team is all androids. If you float him like you would supports, you're getting maybe 2 turns with the buff before he transforms. So you can fix it by running some androids and some target Goku units, right? Well, now you're just diluting his overall effect on the team. You'll be able to buff some allies, buff himself just a little bit, and you're kind of left with the only solution being running units that fit on both categories, which is essentially just extreme Android 17s and 18s plus Cell. So if you're building a team for him, he's limiting his own choices from his own category, his debut category. If you just change the support passive to include target Goku units too, it would be fine. If you made it so the transformation was an active skill, it would be fine. You'll just have the friend Android 13, then you fit another android on the team that's also in target Goku. No biggie. But it's just frustrating, it's contradictory, and I think it severely limits the unit. But anyways, rant over, let's discuss the other units. This Trunks is a general pull unit. We don't really care about pulling those when they're featured unless they're really good, which this one is not. I'd say he's really just okay, so in terms of value as a featured unit, not great. The rest is honestly not that bad though. Piccolo is great. While his leader skill isn't top tier, it's certainly enough to make a decent team. Where he really shines though is his abilities. He does the big tank, he heals, he lets you foresee super attacks which almost no other units do, so he's a pretty good pull. We talked about this Android 17 yesterday, but he's a great support. He also tanks well, and I will note that he is not on target Goku, but lore-wise that makes sense. It's just something to be aware of. And Jiren, well, he's outdated. We talked about him yesterday too, and while he can still do decent damage, he's been well outclassed by other units, and he's limited by only having 2 categories. This one would be a bad pull value-wise. Tech SS4 Goku is a unit that has in fact aged pretty well. While he is outclassed as a full power leader by Broly, he finds a great spot as a linking partner on Goku's family teams with LR SS4 Goku and on Pure Saiyan teams with either of the LR SS4s. I actually am using him on my favorite global team for this month, shameless plug to that video in the description. And finally, Turles, while he is no longer the best support in the game, he is still great. That 40% attack and defense buff with his versatility category-wise is great. He's even still got a relevant leader skill, although Broly still also beats him as a leader, so you've got 2 units where Broly is a little bit better as a leader, but that's okay. Still, Turles definitely has a place on teams. So I think if Android 13 had been good, you would have had 5 good units out of 7. But since he's not, you've got 4 good pulls and 3 bad ones, and like I said in the last Chuju summon, that ratio is just too risky, and especially when the main banner unit is just like this, it's not worth the risk. I think you need to skip this, save the stones for a better banner. You've got the anniversary coming up with several incredible banners, just don't throw your stones away now. Now, am I summoning on this one? No, I want Turles for global, I want Piccolo, but I don't really need them, so I can't. If I'm gonna be disappointed pulling a brand new unit, I really cannot justify trying to go for it. So I'll be waiting for them to return another day. But if you're summoning on it, first, I would love to hear why, because for me it just feels like a definite skip, but I'd love to hear from the other side. And second, I do wish you good luck on your summons. I hope you pull the units you want. All that being said, I hope you have a good day, good week, good life, and happy summons. Goodbye!